This is the standard gym illusion. People always have the will to go to the gym, and the will to think about building muscle, and the willpower to focus on getting into shape. But only a minimal part of the user group manage to do that. Welcome to this lesson about training focused and hard for muscle growth. My name is Mr. Physique, and I'm a 25 years old hard-working fitness addict trying to work my way to fitness entrepreneurship. At the moment, I'm building my brand and trying to develop my name in the fitness industry. If you want advice from an unconventional fitness channel, subscribe to me. I'm focusing on congruent training information and self-improvement, and I'm making content like PEDs didn't ever exist. Like this video to help the YouTube algorithm, and so I can develop this content to more people. Going to the gym is incredibly easy. Buying a gym membership is incredibly easy. To lift some weights or do some movements is easy if you have some friends or have been at a PT session. Getting some noob gains is relatively easy. It's not hard to be at the gym for 4 sessions a week for 2 months, get some pump and see some difference in the mirror, and learn how to squat or do the bench press. You have clearly added some intracellular water and adapted to some movements as the scale weight has gone up 3 kilograms and you have made progress in all of your lifts. But you don't manage to make progress further. You don't know how to actually make a real transformation and develop yourself like your favorite YouTube athletes. On the contrary, building muscle is incredibly hard. Adding on lean muscle tissue is insanely hard. Doing right hypertrophy training and creating a muscle building environment is incredibly hard. You need to do incredibly hard training and really do some magic with your movements. The magic I'm talking about is muscle activation. Lifting to beat up the muscle. Lifting to use the muscle to drive the movement. Getting a lifting tempo that is driven by the muscle. Control the eccentric by the muscle. Envision the working set as work by the muscle in concentric and eccentric motions where the muscle is constantly activated. Not too heavy or too light. Neither do powerlifting or endurance training. Aim for 40 seconds with time and attention. For the most part, anything less than that becomes power output training or training for maximum strength. You should lift light enough so the muscle is the point of focus. The reason why I'm making this video is because there are incredibly many people who just don't understand this. You don't build muscle from just lifting weights. You build muscle from lifting to activate the muscle. You build muscle by training extremely hard, and of course from eating and recovering properly. This is the standard gym illusion. People always have the will to go to the gym, and the will to think about building muscle, and the willpower to focus on getting into shape. But only a minimal part of the user group manage to do that. A really minimal part. 80% of the people in the gym don't train hard enough to get progress. Around 50% in the gym drop off from their initial gym membership. And most people starting with ambitions to build muscle drop off from being an active member because they do lots of ineffective training and are not set up for a gym lifestyle. Maybe 10% of the gym members or even less have the framework to build muscle. And it is because people don't know how to activate the muscles by the training and train them hard. I also see people high on the gym member scale struggling with muscular activation. And it's typically people into powerlifting struggling to build a strength base, getting nothing out of their accessories and only having the framework for heavy squat, bench, deadlift. And after a long while they are on the same level regarding their strength. I was here myself. I was lost into bad insulin, cortisol, and metabolic levels, being a volume tryhard with lots of squat bench deadlift, but never knowing how to really build muscle. It's the muscle activation and long-term muscle gains that is the key. Therefore, the assumed user group needing this information is incredibly large. And that's one of the reasons I'm up with this channel. Make more and more information about how to train to beat up the muscle. There are so many people in this world who want to know the secrets about how to build muscle, and here it is. There are also many people who think they do good hypertrophy training, having a power building or bodybuilding program, but not realizing that the way to achieve muscle tension by good technique is insanely hard. Watching this video, you get a lesson in how you can improve your own training for growing properly. When you want to build muscle, you need to do things. First, you need to activate the muscle. Second, you need to train it hard and likely go to a failure. It's two easy principles. It's stupid simple, but it's insanely hard to execute in practice. It's hard to learn in the first place, and it's insanely hard to keep it up for a long time and live a training lifestyle, constantly eating enough for making the anabolic processes possible. When you activate the muscle, you have three factors for that. First, it's the range of motion. The biomechanics is obviously the basics for activating a muscle. The angles, the movements, and the levers are the determinants for creating tension in the muscles. Second is the lifting tempo. It's important to control the motion of the bar, dumbbells, or the cables with the muscles. The muscles should dictate how the weights go up and down or back and forth. For the most part, the concentric should go faster than the eccentric, and it should be lifted up explosively, while the eccentric should be controlled with a slower tempo. 3. The third factor is constant muscle activation. You use the muscle to control the concentric and the eccentric and any paused halts. You use the muscle for any velocity changes, basically on the start and at the end of the range of motion. Most people have a big focus on the concentric part of the lift, especially in powerlifting or heavy strength training. If you don't have an emphasis on the eccentric, your muscle is resting that time frame, and obviously you create more stimulus from constant tension compared to on and off throughout the set. If you have these 3 points in check, you have the framework for muscle activation. The second point, which is important for muscle growth, is going hard to create enough challenge for the muscle to get some stimulus for muscle growth. You need to train close to failure. Going 0 to 4 reps from a muscular failure is inevitable when you want to build muscle. When we talk about building muscle, it should be a muscular failure, not a structural failure or an absolute failure, meaning it's the muscle that is the limit, not the joints, bones and tendons. You want to train with an intensity that allows for muscular activation, and that's why 40 seconds with time and attention is applicable if you want to build the most muscle. I know many people are going to deny this, but it's for the most part people into powerlifting or power building communities not knowing about optimal muscle growth. 30 to 60 seconds with time and attention is superior for muscle growth, and anybody not acknowledging it have not got properly into it. Aim for 6 to 20 repetitions with good muscle control. This is going to be 30 to 60 seconds with time and attention. And the last factor related to training hard is progressive overload. You have to train harder from session to session. It's basically harder than last time! You need to find a way to make the training more challenging from time to time. You can see this quadratic model which I've made. I'm trying to illustrate good and subpar activation and intensity. You need both to actually build muscle. You can do good strength peaking training with low muscle activation, training more for joints, bone and tendon resistance. It's not necessarily wrong. Here you don't need the concept of muscle activation, but be honest about your application. you are not training for muscle growth, you are training for strength and power transfer. When you do the opposite, and training with high activation but not enough weight, you are doing awkward pump training. This should actually be the warm-up for your real session. And the last quadrant is with both low activation and too little effort. It's the category of most people in the gym wondering why they can't build muscle, or people lost into the gym. In the rest of this video, I will give some concrete examples of how to activate different body parts, and I will show some clips of training that does not activate muscles properly, which can be categorized as waste gym training. All of these lifts are isolation lifts or lifts made for muscular activation. My exercises here are cable pullovers, chest flies, leg extensions and leg press. For example, here you can see cable pullovers properly executed. How they are executed so the lats are driving through the range of motion, fully controlling the eccentric. And here you see how to not train cable pullovers.
daughter of the night and the rising moon. She runs like the wind, and in her heart she carries the secret powers of the elders. But darkness builds up in her mind as the cold breeze moves across the sky. In battle, sworn to die, she sheathes the blade with fire in her eyes. Warrior soul blazes through the land of frost and snow. Her pagan heart and flesh built to endure the cold. Warrior soul, to the death against all foes she fights. She's born under the northern lights. Yeah, yeah.
What you saw on the training is that I quitted when the muscle was the limiting factor. When you train with the goal of building muscle, you have to make sure it's a muscular failure. It's possible to get an absolute failure or go far past a muscular failure using lots of momentum. A big lesson is to learn to train with full muscular activation and stop when the muscle has nothing more to give. It's a big difference on that and when your joints, bones and tendons are the limits on heavy squat, bench, deadlift. And that wraps it up. That's what you need to know. Try to apply this to your training. Practice it over time. You need to work hard and smart over time to actually improve and become good. Getting good training technique for building muscle in the gym is the same as getting good football skills while playing football and doing some samba at the street. Send me a DM or a mail if you want a program or you want to get coaching from me, and make sure it's actually easier to get into these routines. Give this video a like by pressing the thumbs up button below. Comment down below. Use the comment section to comment anything you think, for example about the muscular activation and training effort regarding to build muscle. Subscribe to me if you want more unconventional training content and more training information. Thank you all for watching and see you in the next video.